All right, guys, welcome back. So we are in 2025 now, and I wanted to do a video on the fights that I want to see in 2025. What we're going to do is we're going to do the top 10 because if I was just doing a list of the ones I want to see, this video would probably be 3 hours long because there's like 100 fights I want to see and like 50 separate fighters I want to see booked. I'm actually really excited for this year because there's so many prospects now. The game's really changing. I feel like it's getting higher and higher and higher levels, and just a ton of matchups I'd like to see. But we'll focus on the top 10 that I came up with. Now, this list is in no particular order. It's just 10 fights that I think need to be made this year. One of them is already made, but I came up with the list before it was announced, so I'm going to keep it, and we can start off the top. So the first one, pretty obvious. I'd like to see John Jones versus Aspinall. Everyone wants to see that fight. Everyone wants to see, can Aspinall beat John Jones? Can he be the first one to give him his real loss and become the real heavyweight champion? Because the poor guy's been an intramural champion for who knows how long now, probably like a year, if not longer. So that's a matchup that's really exciting. There's a lot of questions, and it'll answer a lot of things too. Where's John Jones at this stage of his career? What's going to be Aspinall's ceiling? So that's a fight I really want to see. It's one I need to see. And then after that, Pereira Ankalaev. That's the one that I said I came up with. I didn't come up with it. I put it on my list, and it got announced recently. I think just this past weekend during UFC 311, it got announced. Really exciting matchup. Finally, Pereira gets a guy who is the number one contender. They've been trying to push away Ankalaev for as long as possible. It was not Pereira. I don't think Pereira was ducking. I've done tons of videos on this at this point, but I think the UFC was ducking Ankalaev. They just had too big of a star on their hands in Pereira. They knew he can't grapple, and they wanted to keep him there. But now, I mean, there's only so long you can prolong this guy getting a title shot. They did the same thing with Bilal. They did the same thing with Merab. They did everything they could to keep them away from a title shot. And then finally, they gave them one, and they were able to capitalize and win. So they've been pushing it away, pushing it away. Finally, they gave it to him. And I'm really glad that they finally did, because I do think that Ankalaev can beat Pereira. And I was also saying, like, Pereira's at this point like 37 or 38. There's only so much more time he has left. So I think the UFC cares a little less now. And I do think Ankalaev will beat him personally. I think Pereira's an animal. He's a beast. But on the feet, like, I don't think the gap is that crazy. We just saw Khalil outstrike Pereira. He was winning that fight on the scorecards. And Ankalaev's a good striker. He's a good striker. His output can leave something to be desired sometimes. But in general, he's a very good striker. He's got a ton of power in his own right. I think his chin is better than Pereira's. So I think he can compete on the feet. But the big difference maker is he can also go to the ground, and Pereira just can't. Pereira doesn't wrestle. Pereira does not have get-ups, really. Pereira doesn't have the best takedown defense. Pretty much everybody who tries gets him down. And I can definitely see Ankalaev coming out there, striking with them, striking with them, striking with them, and then getting takedowns and being able to ultimately beat him. So I do think that's a really good fight. I'm glad they finally made it. After that, what else is on my list? We got Holloway versus Oliveira, a rematch. That would be a sick fight at this stage of their careers. Both guys, honestly, they still got it. They're still killing it. Oliveira, if anything, has gotten better, way better than he used to be. He's offensively wrestling now. What he did to Chandler was really impressive, getting takedowns, took the back. The submissions, as always, are elite. His striking is really good. And then Holloway is Holloway, legendary fighter, legendary striker. His ground game is not bad. Takedown defense is solid. It'll be a really exciting fight, one that can definitely sell tickets. They could put on a pay-per-view without a title fight, and it would still sell. That's definitely a fight I want to see. Nunes versus Harrison. That's one that's a little bit out there because Nunes is technically retired, but she has shown some interest in coming back if Harrison wins the belt. I think Harrison will destroy Pena. I think she'll completely destroy her. I don't think anything of Pena. I don't think she even deserved that win over Pennington. I can't stand her personality, and I do hope Kayla beats her. I think she will. And then I'd like to see Kayla versus Nunes. I think that's a really compelling matchup. When Nunes was champ and Kayla was still at PFL, that's a matchup everyone was talking about, and I do hope that they make it this year. After that, Dricus versus Hamzat. I'm pretty convinced we're going to get this fight. There's Dricus fighting Sean Strickland now for the title. That's coming up soon. I think Dricus is going to win again. And then Hamzat, I'm pretty sure Dana just said that he's next, which makes sense. At this point, what more do you want from the guy? He's just completely dispatched with Robert Whitaker in under a round. Incredibly impressive. That would be a sick fight. I think Hamzat's going to win and finally become champ. But Definitely want to see that one because it's hard to see Dricus lose at this point because he just always picks up the win somehow. After that, I want to see Topuria versus Evloev. That's a matchup I'd like to see. At this point at 145, it doesn't seem to be many challenges left for Topuria. I think that Diego Lopez is a very easily winnable fight for him. I know everybody loves Lopez. I don't think he stands a chance against Topuria. I don't see anywhere that he's better than Topuria. I think Topuria is a way better striker, way better cardio, way better wrestling, probably on par with him in the jiu-jitsu department. So definitely want to see him versus Evloev. I think Evloev can actually give him challenges. Evloev is a really good offensive wrestler. He's a solid striker in his own right. He's got very good cardio too. So I do think that Topuria would beat him, but that's a fight I want to see. After that, so this is one that I cooked up. I'd like to take credit for this one. Yoel Alvarez versus Benoit Saint-Denis. That's one that I really want to see. That one is just pure violence. Both of them will have ways to win. On the feet, I think Alvarez is a better striker, but Benoit Saint-Denis, also a solid striker with a lot of power. He's very, very hittable, but so is Alvarez. So every time they meet on the feet, it's just going to be an explosion, a car crash. And on the ground, it'll be super interesting because Alvarez, historically, you could beat him if you could take him down, control him, and avoid the submissions. And Benoit Saint-Denis is a very good wrestler with very good jiu-jitsu of his own. So maybe he can take down Alvarez. Maybe he can hold him there. Maybe he can even sub him. But maybe Alvarez can sub him off his back. Maybe Alvarez can hurt him off his back. And I just think it would be a sick fight. That's probably, honestly, if I did do this list in order, that would probably be my number one fight because I really want to see that one. I think it would be sick. And I could see the matchmakers making it. After that, Shavkat versus Bilal. That's a basic one. Everyone wants to see Shavkat finally fight for the belt. I think it would be a really interesting matchup, though, because unlike a lot of people, I give Bilal a pretty solid chance. I think that Bilal can get takedowns. I think that Bilal maybe like he's not going to be a better striker. Shavkat's a better striker and he hits harder, but I think Bilal can give him some issues. And Bilal has a similar style to Marab where he's shooting and sometimes he's only doing it just to give the threat of the takedown. And then his striking will work a lot better because your defense won't be as good because sometimes you got to lower your hands to defend the takedowns. And then he can go upstairs. So I think that matchup is really compelling and could be a lot of fun. After that, I want to see Manon Fiorot versus Natalia Silva. I don't care if it's a title fight or if it's just a regular fight. If Fiorot beats Shevchenko, because I think that fight is happening, then maybe giving Natalia Silva the title shot, it makes sense. And I just think it would be sick because both of them are elite strikers. Manon maybe a little bit more credentialed, but Natalia Silva, in my opinion, she's the best woman fighter right now. She's just next level. The way she creates angles and the striking, the movement, the accuracy, the combinations, and she can grapple too. She's got great takedown defense. I think that would be such a good fight. It would be a striking affair. Probably go all 25 minutes. I think they'd go to absolute war. And that's a fight that I would really like to see this year. And then the last one, I'm thinking Pantoja versus Kai Kara France. I think they're about to announce it. I wouldn't be shocked. It's the one that makes sense, especially with the way they're matching everybody up right now. Royval's fighting Cop. So those two are taken. Doesn't really leave anybody else outside of Kai Kara France or maybe Asu Almabayev, who I'm rooting to get a shot because I have a futures bet on him at plus 7,000 and plus 15,000. But I think the most realistic next match for Pantoja is Kai Kara France. And I think that'll be a sick fight because Kai, really good striking. I think he's a better striker than Pantoja. He hits very hard. He just knocked out Ursig. And he's got really good takedown defense. He's a really good counter grappler. I think he could maybe defend some of those takedowns from Pantoja, match him in the cardio, and outstrike him. But personally, I think Pantoja would beat him. I think Pantoja is the best flyweight in the world right now. And yeah, I do want to see that matchup, though. I think it would be a lot of fun, and I do think we're going to get it. And that's it. Those are the top 10 fights I want to see in 2025. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next.